What is going on, everybody? DB Sports, joined once again by Tom Manning's burner TMB. We got quite the episode for you today. Usually, we just preview the upcoming Iowa State game as well as recap the most recent one. But today, there's a lot in the news, so we're going to start with a topic that I did yesterday, a video on. Aaron Rodgers has tested positive for COVID, which uh, kind of stunned the league because well everyone thought he was vaccinated, and it turns out he did his own off-season treatment, and that doesn't count. So he's out a minimum of 10 days, which is concerning TMB because that leaves him out for Kansas City this week and also could leave him out next week at home against Seattle.
Yeah, my guess is he's out also next week. That will it's one day before the game. Um, Maybe if Russell Wilson was playing, they'd try to rush him back, but we're playing Geno Smith. I think how much they try to rush him back will depend on how Jordan Love plays this week. Um, he could also be suspended for that game if he's ready to come back. So it's going to be a very interesting week next week.
Yeah. I wanted to briefly mention I showed the clip in my video yesterday, so I'm not going to show it today. You can go check out the video that I put up yesterday if you want to see it. I believe it was Ryan Wood, one of the Packers beat reporters, asked Aaron back in August. I think it was like August, like late August, if he was vaccinated, and his response was, "Yeah, I'm immunized." And a lot of Packers reporters and a lot of people in the media are saying that that's just flat out lying. What do you think about that?
It's I won't say he's lying, but I'll say he was he tried to throw everyone off and give an answer that would just get them off his ass, which worked. Um,
Oh boy, did it.
because no one ever asked him about it again. The only part I would consider him almost lying on is because he went on to say he won't judge teammates that are unvaccinated, but um, he thinks
Right.
they should
And
be, and then he wasn't.
right.
So, he wasn't. I would say he wasn't vaccinated along NFL standards. What he did with his own personal doctor, I don't know. Um, but obviously it was not up to NFL standards.
So I guess my follow-up question to that would be how so he had to so the NFL has like a record of who all's vaccinated and who all isn't.
Yes.
Presumably because, that's kind of the world we live in for COVID. But when did he cuz I had read that he tried to like persuade the NFL or like convince the NFL that his treatment was would classify him as vaccinated. I guess we don't really have a timeline for when that happened though. Presumably that was before the season.
Yeah. So I don't. It's very confusing. Like the NFL considered him unvaccinated, and then he went on and didn't follow any of the rules, at least at the podium, about like wearing a mask. Matt LaFleur comes out and said he's followed all the rules inside the building. So where do they draw the line on if he's following rules or not? Is my biggest question.
Right, and that kind of goes on. I have this tweet pulled up from Tom Pelissero at the moment. The statement from the NFL was the primary responsibility for enforcement of the COVID protocols within club facilities rests on each club. So it's on the Packers to keep their players in the protocol.
Yep.
But then failure to properly enforce the protocols has resulted in discipline being assessed against individual clubs in the past. The league is aware of the current situation in Green Bay and will be reviewing their matter with the Packers. So, my biggest question is if this, because he hasn't worn a mask for any of the post press conferences this season. So if both the NFL and the Packers presumably had him classified as unvaccinated, why is like okay, obviously he tested positive, so it's an issue now.
Yeah.
He's breaking protocol the first 8 weeks of the season.
Yep. Wha-
Uh,
The only like what I told you is the only thing I can think is the NFL almost tried to turn a blind eye and is like, we're not going to address it until it's a problem. I don't know if that's because it's the Packers or Aaron Rodgers or what it is,
well, they don't
but
they don't want to lose a face of the league.
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of
So
where my thought was. um, is they almost tried to turn a blind eye or thought it wasn't bad enough to punish him for. But if it's not bad enough to punish him for past 8 weeks, it's not bad enough now.
Yeah, that's my biggest. That's my big. The only thing that they could possibly be reviewing that I can think of is that Halloween party,
Yep.
because he posted pictures on Instagram and Twitter and everywhere.
Yep.
He went as John
John Wick.
Wick
Yep.
to a Halloween party, and he wasn't masked, and obviously he's not vaccinated. So that's the only thing that I could think of that they'd be reviewing, because
Yep.
if it's in the Packers facility, they've known about it for 8 weeks.
Yep.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Is it confirmed that Russell Wilson's out next week? By the way.
It is. It is not. I just
Okay.
assumed. I haven't heard any updates.
I know
Or-
he had just gotten like the pin removed
Oh, well,
because I think he tweeted about that the other day. He like posted a
okay.
picture of the pin like out.
I did not see that.
So
Well, hopefully, if he's back, that could be a long game, but we'll
right.
see.
So I obviously like you don't want to miss Aaron Rodgers for two games.
2 weeks.
But at
Yep.
Kansas City and then home against Russell Wilson are probably the last two I would have picked.
Yes.
Like this whole
Maybe
stretch.
the what the Rams. I think we have the Rams still. That would suck to
Yeah.
miss him for the game
Well,
also.
and if
But
they suspend him 2 games, right? They
yeah,
won't count Kansas City or Seattle if he doesn't play in those because he has COVID.
correct. Yep.
So then it would extend
And
two
this
games
was
past
four
that, and I
games.
believe that would include Minnesota and the Rams.
Great. Okay.
So,
Well, you know what? Minnesota's beatable. Obviously, Cooper Rush went in and did it. Oh,
God,
so
fuck
we'll
the
have to see.
Cowboys, but that was hilarious.
Yes, it was. That was, and it helps us. Honestly, it helped us in the division race.
Oh,
Not
for
that we
sure,
really need it, but
for sure,
not that we need it much. But I'll take it.
for sure.
So,
Okay, so we're gonna save what we promised for the end, so we can rant
yes.
about that for a long time. So let's talk some Texas here real quick. Uh, Boy, what isn't there to talk about Texas?
And we got pole assassin. We got fourth quarter collapse. We
We
got
got
locker room issues.
a receiver leaving the program potentially.
Yep. Yep. Uh,
Woo.
we can start out with the normal preview and then get to all the extra stuff, or it's up to you.
Um, let's just kind of mumbo jumbo our way through this.
Okay.
So Iowa State's gonna be playing pissed off,
Very. I
obviously.
I will guarantee you this was probably the worst week of practice. I mean, best, but worst for the players. Like,
Oh, I would not want to be at practice this
yeah,
week.
since probably Louisiana of last year.
God, this week of
Yeah.
practice would have sucked.
Yeah.
I'm glad it would have sucked because I'm not a player obviously,
Yep.
but God, I would.
It could not have
Oh,
been fun.
I because last week was ugly in so many ways.
I'll say, look, I know we were missing Mike Rose.
Yeah,
Okay, and he's last reigning Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, leader of the defense. We all know this. If that's how our defense looks without Mike Rose, I don't want to watch Iowa State football next year.
I
You
I'm
cannot,
kind of in that same boat.
you cannot let your defense weigh that much on one person.
Absolutely not.
If we went from giving up 17 points a game to 38 because we're missing one linebacker, shit's gonna get rough.
I will
And
say, this is if that's the case, Mike Rose is the best middle linebacker in the country, and it's not close.
yes, 100%,
Like,
100%.
if a single middle linebacker is worth a 21-point swing, oh
Yeah.
God, 21-point swings. God, that's. I feel like we're gonna talk about those later. Anyway, if a single linebacker is worth 21 points, let's get him on the field, please.
Yeah, somehow we were underappreciating Mike Rose.
Somehow, some way, we were
Yeah.
underappreciating the best linebacker in the Big 12 and
Yeah.
possibly the country. Um,
So if he is not able
God,
to play this week, it scares
I
me.
don't want to play Bijan Robinson without Mike Rose.
Correct. I love Jake Hummel. I think Jake Hummel's a stud.
Hey, he
I
had a pick
think
six
that
last week.
yeah, I think that he is a great linebacker. Um, he's not Mike Rose. No one is
No,
Mike Rose. Gary Vaughn is not Mike Rose. Eric Horn is not Mike Rose. Orion Vance is not Mike Rose. Uh, Obviously, because we gave up 21 more points than usual without Mike Rose. So um, those guys have got to find a way to step in and play a better role. We had some Hummel tackled well, but Horn and Vaughn didn't.
Yeah, for sure.
If I remember correctly,
For sure.
Orion Vance did what we needed to. Um, Will McDonald was held in check against
Yeah.
West Virginia.
Yeah, for sure. I
Very,
mean, some of that you just gotta pat West Virginia's O line on the back
yep,
and
yep. And I didn't see it. I'll say I wasn't watching the whole game. I didn't see a ton of blatant holding, which you usually
no.
do against them. I think they just had game planned him well.
Yeah.
As Enrique had a few pressures, that's stuff you're gonna have to see against Texas.
Yeah, for
Texas is
sure.
talented enough; they will make you pay if you don't play disciplined defense. They have a four and
Absolutely.
four record, um, but they are an athletic team. Their recruiting class will show that. And
Yep.
Iowa State showed last week our secondary. Our secondary is they're good football players. They're smart football players. They're coached very
Our
well.
our
They're not athletic.
secondary is good if it's under 15 yards.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Our our
that,
secondary struggles with overall athleticism.
the
I feel
receivers hit the
like.
15-yard mark and our secondary just throws their hands up in the air and doesn't know what they're
Yep.
doing.
We
So,
have seen we've some seen some receivers make some fantastic plays against our secondary this year.
Natron
Seen
Young. Sorry.
yeah, Strun Young, or even going up over someone like Greg Eisworth, and
Yeah.
that's just pure athleticism. Um,
And Xavier Worthy is more than capable of that.
yes,
So,
yes. Was it Presley who did it for Oklahoma State or Martin? One of
yeah,
those two
yeah, it
went
was
up
it was
over.
Presley, or no, it was Tay Martin that did it in the double coverage
Okay, yep. And then
before
Presley
the
had the
half.
on the on the post route,
Yeah.
or yeah.
Yep.
So, um, our secondary is smart, but they are not the most athletic. TJ
No.
Tampa's an athletic freak. Um, and I think that you're going to see in this next talent wave. I think Tampa should be getting all the cornerback 2 reps. We know what we're getting with Detroit Young. He's not progressing. Tampa is not playing well, but if you want him to, he has to get in game reps. And
Right.
next year, he's going to be thrown into the fire, because we have no one else at corner.
So
He's gonna be that guy.
so when do
Uh,
you just real quick, when do
yeah,
you decide that okay, so obviously we know what we're getting with Datron Young. When
yeah.
do you decide that like TJ has to play like in the slot more? When do you decide that maybe he has to move to that sort of like I don't know what you'd call it, but like the Lawrence White type
Yeah.
like hybrid
So
situation that Kamani King is playing right now because we've got Tavon Kyle and we've got Miles Purchase both
yeah,
behind TJ Tampa at the moment. So when I mean I like all three of those guys. I'm not
yeah,
saying that TJ can't be better than them.
yeah.
But I mean we're 8 games into the season and it feels like the last 3 weeks or so I've seen highlight reel plays against TJ Tampa. And I
So
get that he's a kid and I love TJ and I love
yeah.
his family. They're great people. Love interacting with them. But like, when do you make that decision that maybe it's not working out at the moment? We need to sit down and have a talk with this kid about something disciplinary or something that
Yeah.
he's not doing correctly.
So he came in as a wide receiver, if I remember correctly. He came in as a wide receiver recruit and we moved him to corner, I believe. I could be wrong. But I believe he came in as a receiver, so he might have gotten some corner reps in high school, but it wasn't his primary position. It's been rough this year. Um, I think you have to give him till the end of the year and maybe through camp a little. If you don't see improvement to the point where he can play Big 12 football at the cornerback position at least a decent level, doesn't even have to be elite next year. I would say you have to move him to that Lawrence White role. If you have someone else that can play better, there's a reason that Jaquan Amos isn't playing right now. There's a reason um, Tavon Kyle isn't getting all the runs. Kamani King isn't getting all the runs. I think it's because they don't trust him. And they obviously have some sort of trust in TJ Tampa or a little more than everyone else to the point where they think he's the best option. Now, if that is true, I don't see why you don't play him over Detroit Young right now because Detroit Young has been a pretty big liability against elite receivers for 3 years now, and that's not going to change. So I think you have to give Tampa the chance till at least through the end of the year to prove he can play that quarterback role, readdress it in the offseason. If he can't, see what you got with someone else. Maybe give Kyle in game runs, maybe give Kamani King in game runs, even if they're not showing it in practice, at least for a little to see what they can show because we have to have someone out there. And if we're going to compete for a Big 12, we have to have two decent corners.
Right.
Right now, we don't.
I don't know. It's interesting because I think Kamani King's been playing more of that third safety role.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
I think
So,
he played the majority of the Kansas game, and he
yep.
had that interception in the end zone. I think he's been playing most of that third safety spot, and
Yep.
I've actually really he's one of those guys that just makes plays.
Yep.
He doesn't necessarily like flash on the screen like an Isheem Young does,
Yep.
but I feel like Kamani King is just kind of steadily improving.
He kind of reminds me of Kamari Cotton Moya.
Right.
He's kind of always in the right spot.
Right.
Um, and doesn't seem to get burnt a lot. He's not gonna be as flashy as, like you said, Shane Young, but I feel like he's gonna be a staple in the defense in the future because of
Right.
his ability of not getting burnt deep, honestly, which we've struggled with this year.
Right.
Um,
Right.
which my only problem with that is this defense is built to not give up the big play, and we're giving up the big play.
Yeah.
We run a 3-3-5 because we were getting beat over the top early, um, and Campbell's tenure, and now it's happening again, but with a
Yeah.
prevent defense. That's my biggest problem.
It's a bad thing when people complain about you playing soft coverage and then that soft coverage is still getting beat deep.
Yep. Yep.
That's not a recipe for success,
No.
especially in the Big 12. I mean,
Yep. Exactly.
we can meme all day about the Big 12 not playing defense, which is just factually incorrect at this point.
Correct.
But that doesn't change the fact that the Big 12 are athletic freaks on offense. And
Yes.
that's
Correct.
and you've still got. I mean, look, Texas is 4-4. They're definitely back as they've always been, but
Yep.
um, you can't be giving up the deep ball against teams like Texas, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. I mean, that's just not
Baylor.
gonna happen. Baylor,
No.
you know, you're just not gonna win
Yeah.
those games. I will say, just kind of previewing this Texas game a little bit more. Texas has lost their last 3 games, so they're also going to be playing mad.
Yes, they are, and they have their own issues, which are a distraction. Joshua Moore, I believe, is his name.
Yeah, Josh Moore.
Receivers, yeah, is questionable. If I don't even know if he's gonna be on the team. I see no way he plays Saturday. From what I've heard,
If
just
if this altercation with Sark was as bad as what I'm seeing on Twitter,
I
yeah,
don't. But yeah. So, but Texas, like I said, is athletic.
yeah, for sure.
If if you're gonna let them, if you're gonna let them hit deep passes, they'll destroy you. They put up 70 on Texas Tech for a reason. Texas Tech might not be Oklahoma, but or Alabama, but they're a
Hell,
Power 5 team.
they put up 48 on Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I
So,
mean,
and
again,
I
which
will say,
yeah, go ahead.
Texas looked freaking amazing for the first 3 quarters, first 2.5 quarters of that Oklahoma game.
Oh, I agree. I
They
100% agree.
they flashed what they can be. They aren't that,
100%.
but they
100%.
flashed what they can be, and that is what I'm scared of. If you catch Texas on the wrong day, they will beat almost anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Overshown on that defense is a stud. Bijan is a stud. I'm a
Yeah.
Casey Thompson fan. He's good. I think Sark is an amazing, uh, at least offensive mind. I don't know about head coach. That's to be determined. But you catch Texas on the wrong day, you will kill them or they will kill you.
I think you even tweeted after the or at halftime of that game that Texas was winning the Big 12.
They looked like the best team in the
They
Big
did.
12.
They did. I'll give it to
They
you. They
did.
did.
First half, I was like, this is gonna be like Texas is back. I really thought they were.
They were up like what, 24-7 in that game or something
The
like
first
that.
there was like 4 plays and or 5 plays and they had like 3 touchdowns. And the only reason it wasn't so I know the first play I believe they had a pick six. Or first play they got the ball threw a screen went like 75 yards to the house.
Yeah. Yep.
Then then they blocked a punt, and then Casey Thompson overthrew a tight end,
Yep.
and then he threw a touchdown the next play. They're
Yeah.
up 14-0 like that.
Yep.
And it was like 28-7. And I was like, and
Yeah, they
Overshown
had
had just gotten a sack, and I was like, this looks like what people thought Texas is supposed to be.
right, exactly. I yeah, that was I did think it was funny that the only reason they weren't up 14-0 after two offensive plays was because the guy overthrew a wide open touchdown.
Open
I was
touchdown.
like, I saw that and I was like, oh boy, they're gonna blow it. And then they scored the next
Yeah.
play, and I'm like, okay, well, it didn't
I,
really
I
matter.
I could not believe that they looked that good.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if Sark will ever consistently get them to play at that level.
right.
It's not going to be this year. These past three games have been bad, but West Virginia ran the ball against us, and
Yeah,
teams have been running the ball against us a little better than they should.
yeah.
I don't know if that was Mike Rose. I don't know. K State might have been us um,
I
not giving up the big play in the second half.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the post mortem on Wide Right Natty Light that I it kind of felt like Iowa State sort of dropped off a little bit in the fourth quarter
Yep.
of that game. Um, it just kind of felt like you never want to let your foot off the gas, but it kind of felt like we did that a little bit in that
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
Um, but I mean, Oklahoma State and West Virginia. I mean, that's
Yeah.
they were able to run the ball, and that 100% scares me.
Yep. Me too.
So
So because Bijan is, you don't tackle against Texas, he will torch you.
see, and that was the other thing was I don't remember who tweeted it, but somebody was like, "Oh, Iowa State's like one of the better tackling teams." What happened to that against West Virginia?
Yeah, that
I
tackling
mean,
was. It
Letty
didn't look like.
Brown Letty Brown broke like six tackles every time he touched the ball.
Yeah. I don't know. Our linebackers didn't tackle well. Especially Ezerique was not filling his gap well at all.
Yeah,
He was always going outside and they'd go in. He'd try to shoot inside and they'd go out. And they kept running at his side, and I love that man. He's been amazing for us. I mean, he's been great all year, but it
for
was a rough
sure.
game for him. Johnson wasn't tackling or covering, which is rare from him, but he wasn't doing either. Detrone Young got beat all day. Craig Eisworth got beat all day. It was just not a good game on
Right,
top of officiating, which we'll get to. So if you don't tackle against Texas, they will make you pay. Bijan will make you pay. So
right.
that better be cleaned up.
So just to wrap up here with Texas, ESPN's got us 62.8% to win as a 6.5 point favorite. What do you think about that? At home, night game, no black unis, surprising.
Yeah, I don't know if
Um,
Campbell's scared because we lost to Oklahoma, but and then Iowa we were wearing black.
right,
I think Levi brought this up. We could have. There's rumors we're getting new alternates next year.
right, yes, yep,
Maybe it's a new black. That might be part of it. It would not surprise me to see some red in the black next year, kind of like in Ohio State blackout. That's off
and
topic.
I
Anyway.
mean that I think some of that has to do with everybody that complains about them. They're like, "There's
Yeah.
no red in any of our black uniforms." So,
Yep. Which
oh,
I think red and black together looks amazing.
oh, it
I like our
does.
black uniforms now, but
It
I
looks
love black
sweet.
and red.
Like I think Louisville's got my favorite red and black.
Yeah. Yeah.
Louisville's got a
They look
sweet red
sweet.
and black uni.
So I think this isn't really an answer, but if we play out of state football, we will cover the spread. If we play West Virginia, how we play against West Virginia, we will lose with or
I
without
yeah
ref support.
yeah
Um, if our tackling is that bad and Mike Rose doesn't play, Bijan will have a field day. He will go for 150 plus,
yeah
probably
for
three
sure.
scores that will dominate the clock. We won't know what to do.
They will
If
do
we
to
play,
us what we did to Oregon.
yeah, they will. And if we play Iowa State football, how we played against K State, um, even you and I, you could say any of our five. If we play how we played in our 5 wins this year, we will be fine.
Yeah,
If we play Iowa or first half Baylor or West Virginia football, we will lose this game.
yeah.
So if we play how we should play, I see us winning by 10 to 15.
Okay,
Um,
I like it.
if we don't, I see us losing by 10 to 15.
Okay.
So our margin of error is very small,
Right.
especially against as athletic of a team as Texas is. So
Right.
we played disciplined Iowa State football. I'd feel completely fine at this game.
All right. I like
If
it.
we don't, we will lose.
I all right. All right. Here's my prediction. You ready? I
Yep.
said it. I said it in the season preview for when we did Texas and Oklahoma.
Hmm.
Iowa State. I didn't even think for a second that Iowa State could be mad about officiating this year, but I said that in this game, Jack Trice was going to be loud as fuck.
Yep.
I said the team was going to be playing pissed off because it's Texas, and we always play pissed off against Texas. I said that this was probably going to be a night game because Iowa State, Texas should always be a night game at this point.
Yep.
And I said that we would absolutely run them off the field. All of those could very well end up being true this Saturday, and I think they
Yeah.
will be true. I
I
think Mike Rose plays. I think we play more pissed off than Texas does, purely because of how last week went. I think we run them absolutely out of the building. Like this is going to be a West Virginia 2018 type game.
I hope you're right.
We are
I
going to
honestly do.
absolutely. There's going to be monkey costumes everywhere. We're going to be chanting SEC every 5 seconds. Oh, God. I am so hyped to just be in Jack Trice Stadium this Saturday.
Are you going?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I hope you're right.
I, oh, trust me, I
Campbell
hope
needs
I'm right
it.
too.
This team needs it. We're 5-3. It's been a disappointment this far. I'm not gonna hide it. 3 losses, 8 games into the season. That is not what anyone saw
No.
coming in. Um, they were better than that. Um, I don't like our chances at Dallas right now, which is so sad.
Yeah.
I know it's possible, but it doesn't look great.
No, it doesn't.
Um, man, I we need this bad.
We
We
do.
need a, we need this bad going into. Is it Oklahoma next week?
It's Texas, and then I think it's
Texas,
Texas Tech,
and then
and then
Oklahoma, and then
Oklahoma
TCU.
TCU.
Okay, so I mean, I hope you're right. We need it bad.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so TMB, we've talked a lot about in this Texas game that Iowa State's gonna be playing pissed off and the crowd's gonna be really rowdy.
Yep.
Why is that?
Man, you want to go talk about poor officiating?
All right,
I I have lived through some piss poor Iowa State officiating, football, basketball, whatever you want to call it. That was the worst complete game I have ever seen.
all right, real quick. I'm gonna mute. I'm gonna give you the floor. I'll cycle through the tweets when you talk about each play. But I think there's four main ones we're gonna talk about. So if you came to listen to me talk, I'll maybe jump in here a little bit every once in a while. But TMB wanted the floor for this one. So get ready, boys. I'll let him take the floor here.
First, we can talk about the no catch in bounds, falling out of bounds. They call it touchdown. His feet, man, I don't even know. I'm gonna try and stay semi composed. This man went up and made a fantastic play on the ball. Went up, made a fantastic catch. I don't know, and they have a video of the ref looking down the line right at this man's feet. He, at no point after he touched the ball were his feet more than 2 inches close to the ground, which doesn't sound like a lot until you see the video. Clearly nowhere on the ground. I don't know how it was called a touchdown. It was the worst call I have seen with a ref looking. He had a perfect shot of his feet in the ball. He was looking right at him the whole time. I have no clue how they called that a catch, much less go and review it for like 20 minutes, come back and decide it's not overturned. Second call, let's see. We got Brees, not in order, but Brees Hall touchdown. You can go back and talk about Montgomery versus Memphis being in fumble. Thought that was a bad call. This is even worse. They have every view they need. Supposedly they have more cameras than we did, which makes this even worse. Not only was it a touchdown, his elbow was down, his knee was down, and it looked like his actually both his elbows were down. So the fact that they went back and it was called a touchdown by the side official. It was called a touchdown running down the field. Campbell pointed that out to the refs. They didn't care. They overturned it. The guy who had the best view on the field got his call overturned, went to the booth, and they another 10-minute review did nothing. Delay of game, defense, believe it was third or fourth down and long. Um, a good 2, 3 seconds after the clock hit zero, they West Virginia hiked the ball, threw a touchdown pass right over the middle. Craig McDonald, I believe, got burnt bad. I don't know how you don't call that. Like the ref, it's the biggest. They say that the ref can look at the clock and then look down. If it's not hiked, they call delay game. He could have looked up and down a good 4 times before that delay game was called. It was absolutely atrocious. Um, I don't know how you don't look up at the play clock. If you're an official, you have to get those right. Last one, driving down the field to tie the game, under a minute left. Brock Purdy scrambles for what looked like a first down. They called him out of bounds 2 yards short. Well, the clock didn't stop. Um, he's either out of bounds or it's a first down. Either way, the clock should stop. He's They called him out of bounds 2 yards short. Clock didn't stop. Tried to run it. Called a false start. 10-second runoff. Game pretty much over. Not only should they have reviewed it for a first down, the clock should have stopped if they called him out of bounds. It should have been a first down. The clock should have stopped to reset the chains. Should have had another 40 seconds to go about 15 yards and score. We got screwed over again. Complete worst officiating game I've seen. We got some beneficial calls. Detrone Young got bailed out once or twice, but they cost us 21 points in West Virginia's favor. That cannot happen in this kind of game. Not that it's an excuse early in the season, but we're in the second half of the season. That just cannot happen. Big 12, haven't heard anything from them. Most we'll hear is an apology letter, anyways. So it just kind of sucks. 21 points. We played like shit, but 21 points cannot happen. That's all I got.
Totally agree. I took responsibility in the postmortem. TMB, you'll be happy to know. I never I never talk about the officiating in the postmortem because it's something that Iowa State can't control. It's
Yep.
something Matt Campbell can't control. It's completely out of the control of every fan, every coach, every player. So I never talk about it because it's nothing that like it's something that went wrong, which is half of the article, but it's nothing that we could there's nothing we could do about it. So I
And
always leave it out of the postmortem. But last week or 2 weeks ago against Oklahoma State, I included that taunting call in the postmortem of what went wrong. Not because it cost us anything, purely because it was, as everybody has said, the worst call ever.
it was.
It
It
was the
100%
that was the
was.
only reason I included it. So, Iowa State fans, I take full responsibility. I brought up the officiating. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but karma, I guess. I don't know. I, I don't know. You're totally right. There were two, at least the one pass interference, the offensive pass interference, when Datron Young got absolutely bodied,
Nah. Yep.
was a terrible call. And then there was a
Jalen Noel
defensive pass
called
interference
too.
on West Virginia that was kind of questionable. Like he
Yep.
tugged Xavier Hutchinson's jersey a little bit, but like
Very much so, yep.
I I mean it was a little bit ticky tacky, but
But
I
it
mean
wasn't a touchdown off the board.
it was
I mean,
nothing that the play clock's at 0. It's black and white. Like
yeah.
the snap shouldn't count.
Yeah.
So. And you're right that delay of game would have been on 4th and 8 or 4th and 3, so it would have made it 4th and 8.
Yeah.
So,
Which
God,
I guarantee they kicked the field goal then.
I
If that's the case, would be my guess. Maybe not, but it makes them think a lot more. And Neil Brown is not usually, if I remember correctly, that aggressive. I mean, he kicked 2 field goals when we were up 42-0. So
yeah. I don't know. It was awful. It was it's funny too because now I go back and I will look at these replays and I'm not even mad. I just laugh at it.
yeah,
I'm like, of course this was gonna happen. Like,
yeah,
no Iowa State fan is gonna tell you we played well enough to win that game on Saturday.
yeah,
But somehow, some way, we played as terribly as we did, and we were still in a position to win the game.
and yeah, and which
And that's
you gotta. That's how much it has changed.
And that's what,
We get
yeah,
new points and bad calls in the Paul Rhodes era. We lose by at least 21.
yeah, for sure.
Now, I know we still lost, but we were positioned to win the game, even though we played our worst game probably all year, debatably Iowa, debatably first half Baylor.
Right.
Um, so the fact that we still were in position to win a game against not a great team, but a decent team, um, shows you how far we've come. If you want to find a positive in all this,
Right. I just,
so
oh my God.
it was embarrassing. I thought Texas in 2014 was bad.
I,
Jeremiah
I
Gilbert
know,
kicked the ball.
right? I,
That whole game was bad.
it's so,
Um,
it's so foreshadowy too that we play Texas this week after that.
yep.
Oh
And
God. I,
man, I would be scared, but you can't think they're getting any help from officials because they're leaving. You got to think that if anything, they're not getting any
and
favorable calls.
I think what really like pains me about all this is just the fact that we still were in the game.
Yeah.
We were
Yep.
this was a close fight between two somewhat desperate teams at the time, right?
Yeah.
Neil Brown is coaching to save his job. Iowa State is playing every single game like they're on eggshells because they can't lose or they don't go to Dallas.
Yep.
And this, I mean, it was such a tightly knit contest back and forth the entire way. I mean, we'd go up 7, West Virginia would tie it. We'd get a takeaway and go up 7, and then West Virginia would tie it. It was just such a back and forth. It was a really entertaining football game.
It was.
And the
It just sucked
officials,
that it was
nobody
tainted.
nobody watches football games to watch officials make terrible calls.
Exactly. And they
And
just completely destroyed the entertainment.
it baffles me with how many, like, football is such an imperfect sport, but it baffles me to no end that it's 2021 and we have 19 trillion cameras in every stadium with
Yep.
4K recording capabilities, and they can't get basic shit right.
And Chris Williams brought up a point on Twitter. No clue if this is true. If we have less cameras because we're on ESPN Plus, that's bullshit.
Oh, 100%.
It is a
1,000%.
if it is Power Five football in any form, I don't care if it's Kansas versus UNLV or whatever. I know they're not Power Five, but you have to have those cameras like you would for a national championship game. You
100%.
can't, you cannot let a game have less cameras because of the channel it's on. That's
Right.
just horseshit.
It's
So
terrible. It was utterly disgusting, and I mean, hopefully it. I hate to say that. Hopefully it won't matter, because every loss in a conference game matters. But
yeah,
God, it was so frustrating. I was streaming for that game. I originally thought that the first call was good. I originally thought that he had a foot down. It was
yeah,
it was pretty clear to me after the first replay that he didn't have a foot down.
yep.
And how
And
how
credit to
you
that
can
kid because
be.
it was a hell of a catch.
Oh, it was a fantastic grab. I
It
mean,
just
that was a
wasn't.
hell of a catch.
Yeah,
Falling
just not
falling
a legal one.
backwards, catching it over your face basically.
Yep,
I mean, in the back of the end zone, it was a good throw too over a defender, but
it
I,
was.
I mean that's and then to know that there's an official on the back of the end zone on every play, and he's like hands on the knees, kind of slouched over. How does he not see that the foot doesn't touch the ground?
That was
I
bad. If you look at the video, it really was not that close. It
no
it wasn't.
no.
It was not. It was not that like once his feet or once the ball hit his hands, he was a good 3 inches off the ground,
Oh yeah, absolutely,
which is plenty of room for the ref to see.
absolutely. And I will say I was a little bit more forgiving of the Brock Purdy one, the run at the end, because I didn't know that I didn't realize that they'd marked him out of bounds.
Yeah.
But then if
And
he's out of bounds, the clock would have stopped because they were under
yep.
2 minutes in college football. That's kind of how it works.
Yep.
So
And then they didn't even stop to review it. Like that
no,
is just something you review. That's
a
a
hundred
pretty
percent, a
basic.
hundred
That's
percent.
just like a basic. Okay, do what you have to do. If you if you want to screw us again and take 10 seconds off the clock because you had to review and you didn't over or did overturn it, whatever. I don't know how those rules work. I know there's a potential run,
Oh
but
man,
at least go to review. We got the 10-second run off anyways because we had a false start. So
right.
um Man,
God,
it was really bad.
oh my goodness, it was bad.
We can
And
also talk about how horrendous the offensive line was.
oh
That
yeah,
is
the O line was
devastating.
terrible. O line
I
was
don't know. We brought everyone. We improved our offensive line from last year. We brought Trevor Downing back. I don't know what happened. The line this year has probably been the biggest disappointment on this team. We are run
especially
block.
especially because Campbell put the trophy on their shoulders in the preseason.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the
Yep.
best O line we've had.
Yeah.
Has it
It's
been?
yeah. Not no. And I don't know if last year we just got on a roll and it just went well or what it was, but man, 19 seniors back or 19 starters back, and we're getting this. Like, really? Offensive line? Really?
Yeah,
Secondary?
I
Really? Defense? Any, pretty much everywhere. I love this team. I think we still have, I mean, we got a small chance to go to Dallas. We can make a decent bowl game. It has been a disappointment so far.
yeah I
A lot of people saw us 8-0, 8 games through the season,
oh
and we
yeah
are
for sure
we are 5-3.
for sure. At like people saw us like 5-3 was like the worst possible scenario.
Yeah, it was, and
Five
here we
and
are.
three would have been like lose to Iowa, probably lose
Oklahoma
to
State.
Baylor, and then lose
Yep.
one other random game that we shouldn't have,
Yep.
or I guess Oklahoma State. It would have been like Iowa, Oklahoma State, and then one other random game.
Yep.
And here we are 5-3, and two of those aren't even the case.
Yep.
Or I guess one of
So,
them was.
I
But
will
yeah,
say this. I would have rather lost to West Virginia than Oklahoma State, purely because it proves we can beat top 10
yeah,
teams. We can beat them. It's just, are we going to play like that?
right. It's
West Virginia loss hurts because I know we went out and beat Oklahoma State. We were favored at home against top 10 team. So I'd
yeah,
rather have a loss to West Virginia, because if we don't beat Oklahoma State, everyone's like, oh, they can only beat shitty teams, whatever.
right.
Um, so, but so if we have to, I will take the loss to West Virginia, because I want proof that we can go beat top 10 teams still. We can hang with an Oklahoma or beat an Oklahoma. We can
Right.
beat Oklahoma State. We can be at the top of the conference. But it sucks that we don't. We played a competition level,
Yeah.
if you really want to call it how it is.
We're like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
We're like we're like Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're like, "Oh yeah, we'll definitely start a season 11-0 and then we'll definitely lose to the Browns in the playoffs by 40."
So, yeah.
but,
So,
but we will
not.
if we're playing the 1-7 Dolphins, we will win by 4. But
Yep.
if we're playing the Chiefs, we'll win by 16. Like
Yep. I don't get it.
it's
I don't know if it's preparation. There's a lot. Look, I love this staff. I hope they stay here forever. Because it's an unprecedented time in the history of Iowa State football. Winning
right.
wise, don't win like this, but they have issues they have to address.
Right.
Preparation, going into the season must not be great, because we continue to suck in September.
Yeah.
Playing down the competition level, no matter who it is. The only team we've blown out is Kansas this year. I guess UNLV. We blew out
Yeah.
UNLV too. But Baylor's a good team. I'll give them that. Should have beat Baylor.
Oh yeah.
Should have beat West Virginia. Probably should have beat Iowa if you see how they're playing now.
Oh my
Um,
god. Gee, thanks Iowa.
I mean, Jesus, they look awful.
like
Um,
for fuck's sake, at least if you're
I,
gonna beat us, go out and like either lose every other game to make us feel like completely like terrible about ourselves because we lost to like 1-11 Iowa, or like go win the fucking natty at least. Like, come
I
on,
mean,
don't choke at the end of the season. Like,
I
Jesus.
feel I feel bad for Phil Parker, because that man
Oh
is
God.
amazing at his job. But having to, not only are you coaching against Wisconsin, you're coaching against Brian Ferentz,
Yeah.
because that dude is doing anything but helping you. So
I feel bad, but I also feel good for Tory Taylor
yeah, yep,
because the man
he's
is
getting
the
plenty of
best punter
action.
in the country. But
So Phil Parker every week is game planning against Wisconsin's OC, or the team's OC, kind of their DC, and then his own OC,
and then his
which
own
has to
offensive
suck.
coordinator.
Yeah, which just has to
God,
suck.
I
And you can't complain because it's your head coach's son.
Yeah.
So you're just fucked. You're just stuck
Hey
until
Kurt,
something.
can I talk to you about the offensive gameplay? The what?
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh
uh,
man, God,
poor
I don't
man.
know. I don't know what to make of this season. It's been
We have a potential to still win 10 games. Doesn't look great. That was my goal coming into the season. I wanted 10 wins. We'd never done that before. I was
right,
like, this is the year. We're at 5. We need 5 more. Doesn't look great. It's
right.
possible, but it doesn't look great. If we won out, let's see, 5 more. Technically, we could play in Dallas and then a bowl game. We could finish with 12 or with
11.
yeah 11 wins. Because we're not getting in the playoff. I was doing playoff math,
Oh,
but that's not happening. That's yeah. I was doing playoff math, but there's no reason for that.
yeah.
So
Sorry, man. I got news for you.
yeah,
If
that's
if undefeated Cincinnati's not making the playoffs, there's no way we're making the playoffs.
if we were undefeated, I don't think we'd make any. We wouldn't be in right now. I can tell you that. Be Alabama and over.
God, there's
Man,
so much we didn't even talk about today.
I know. There's
We didn't
we
talk
could
about the playoff. We didn't
whatever.
talk about Chuba Purdy transferring. We didn't talk about. We didn't even really talk about Pole Assassin.
No, we didn't. No. So maybe we can do another episode at some point with all the
Yeah,
overall college football news.
yeah.
I will say one last thing. I think Chuba Purdy, I think there's a decent chance he at least looks at coming here. Not going to say he comes here. I will say at least to look.
Oh, for sure.
He's talented. His family loves Iowa State. Um, I think it kind of just depends. Just he's going to be in his. He's always going to be Brock's little brother.
Yeah,
So it kind of just depends if he wants to deal with that or not.
right.
Um, he might want that. He might want to carry on the Purdy legacy at Iowa State. He might want
The
to
Purdy
do his own
dynasty. I
thing.
like it.
Yeah. So really just depends how he feels.
Right.
Um, One other thing, it's kind of off topic, but also a problem for Iowa State right now. Wide receivers. Hutchinson is the only consistent wide receiver we have right now.
We've
Um,
gotten Noel involved, but he's not
yeah,
consistent in every game.
no.
He'll be like
Milton
a
all over.
6 catch guy one week and then like a 1 catch guy the next week.
Yep. So, and I was kind of talking about this on Discord. We need to stop. Look, we have Shaw, big time, big 6'4" receiver, hasn't been good. Skates, big receiver, hasn't been good.
Right.
Wilson, big receiver, hasn't been good. Aiden Bitter, I believe, is a bigger guy, hasn't been good. Hudson has been good. Before the staff, we had Lazard. That was a road recruit. Butler was a road recruit. Never played for them, but was a road recruit.
Right.
We got Petway. He was good for us, but he was a 1 year transfer. We got
Right.
to start going for. I understand they love the big guys that can block, but you got to start getting some typical wide receivers because
Yeah.
we're missing bad.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
a there's a Tristan Machad from Canada, I believe, a big receiver. Haven't seen him on the field. So Darian, I say Darian Porter, he's a bigger receiver. Haven't seen him. He's fast, but I haven't seen him a whole lot. So we got to
Right.
start getting some different style receivers in here because I understand the bigger than everyone that works at tight end.
Yeah, for
Charlie
sure.
Fuller's a monster. Chase Allen is a monster. Easton Dean is supposedly the next monster at tight end. Run that there. I don't care if you have one or two 6'3" guys at receiver. It's one that can get open. Um, and guys right now aren't doing that.
For sure.
No, that's my rant.
Yeah. Second
Yep,
rant.
second rant.
Second rant.
Get Tariq Milton some reps. Get him in
There we go.
space. They're on screens. Do what you need to do. Open up the field. Try to set Brees up with some screens. Open up the field. See what you can do there. Um, get the defense to let off a little. They're going to load the box right now because they know their corners can match us in man coverage. It's going to happen until they show them they shouldn't.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so you got to show defenses why they shouldn't load the box. Give Brees space. Give the receiver space. Open everything up. Fix those problems. This offense can be great.
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Big week this week. Looking forward to
Yep.
packing the jack. Let's bounce back after whatever the hell last week was.
Yeah.
And
Let's forget that and move on.
yeah,
We ranted about it.
Yep.
Forget it happened.
Got it out of the system.
Erase the film.
Burn it. Throw it in the dumpster. Cast its ashes over wherever you need to.
Yeah.
And let's move on to Texas. So that'll do it for TMB and I. We talked Aaron Rodgers, West Virginia recap, and as well the Texas preview. We both like Iowa State, at least for the most part. There are some circumstances that would lead to a Texas victory, as there always will be for the underdogs. It's weird thinking that Texas is an underdog to us. But anyway,
I know.
that'll do it. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a like down below, comment. Are we off of our rockers as we normally are, or is there some truth to what we were saying today? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed, be sure to click subscribe and click that notification bell so you get a little notification on your phone whenever we go live, whenever there's a video uploaded, whenever any of that stuff goes down. And we will see you guys next time. Horns down.